Hello everyone, my name is Kyle Bond and I'm a voice actor. And today I thought I'd take a look at Zieja's Voice Acting Academy. I've seen a lot of questions about this academy on Reddit and YouTube and, people who are wondering, is this worth it? What is it? So I thought I'd take a surface level look and to help people decide whether it's for them or not. So the academy itself, it is a masterclass. It's a list of information in videos that Joe has recorded, and it costs $349. I have never seen it at $2,000. So if you're thinking, oh, is this on sale for 75% off? I need to get it now. Don't worry about it. It is almost always at this price. I don't know if he does holiday sales or anything like that, but yeah, I've only ever seen it for $349. Don't worry about it. When you get Zieja's Voice Acting Academy, you'll get to a page like this. It has this tab and this tab. This is a separate purchase I made myself. It is some templates that Joe made for when you're doing marketing. Don't worry about this one. These are what we're going to focus on. There's also the Communities tab, which will first send you to this other program that Zieja has. I have not tried this one, so I can't say whether it's worth it or not. But you get to the Voice Acting Academy alumni. So this is kind of like a private Discord. I think it was a Facebook page before, but now we have this. You have your introduction section, general chat, sharing your wins, Mindful Monday, Duet Tuesday, Feedback Friday, and VO Atlanta, which is a conference that happens every year. But yeah, it's pretty simple. But this is also, if you come over to here, this is where you can buy some of the other things that Zieja has going. Right here we have like the audio preset pack, so they're different DAW settings for your recording software, a course about crushing online casting specifically, that sort of thing. So yeah, the Voice Acting Academy will only really get you so much. He has other stuff, monthly membership style things that I personally don't feel like I need, but you can look into if maybe it's something for you. If we go back to courses, that brings us back to this page. The webinar sessions. It is 1 hour webinars, now at a quarterly release, that are mostly just Q&As. It seems back in the day when we were kind of still in the pandemic a little bit, or just coming out of it, there was more going on with interviews and guest hosts and that sort of thing. But these days, you'll see it's Q&A with Joe, Q&A with Joe, Q&A with Joe. All right, back to the courses page. And finally, actually opening up Zieja's Voice Acting Academy. So when you open it up, you will first come to the welcome section, if it'll ever get there. And here we are. Welcome to Zieja's Voice Acting Academy. It keeps going back to this 2-minute mark, but yeah, welcome to Zieja's Voice Acting Academy. It has some kind of ways to get you engaged at the beginning, tell us more about you, join the community. But really, as you're going through the masterclass, it is these different videos on this video player where Joe will talk about a specific subject. There is also stuff like course bonuses and discounts, where you get discounts for stuff like voices.com, Sweetwater, that sort of thing. So if you want some extra discounts, this could be something helpful. All right. The first section after the welcome is Master Your Mentality, a place to focus on your mindset before you really get into voice acting. So you have mind over blather, or, thinking over just talking, punching imposter syndrome in the face, something that everybody deals with, ready, set, go versus go, go, go mentalities, what to do when you hate your voice, and treating voice acting as a job, because it is for a lot of people. For some, it's a hobby, and that's great. But if you want to treat it as a job, this video is for kind of getting in that proper headspace. All right, voice acting 101, the basics. What is voice acting? And then a breakdown of these different areas of voice acting. Commercials, promo, narration, animation versus anime and dubbing, e-learning, all sorts of different areas. And so Joe just kind of takes a look at each one of those genres and talks about how it's different from the others. Next part, the signal chain. That would be your microphone going into your audio interface, that sort of thing. So, microphone basics. Microphones in voiceover. For me, I am using an Austrian OC18, and I also have a Neumann TLM 103, but Joe will break down the different types, condenser versus diaphragm versus shotgun, that sort of thing. Microphone techniques. Audio interfaces, the signal processing with basic effects, troubleshooting, the digital audio workstation, that's stuff like Audacity, Reaper, Adobe Audition, your recording software, and the physical signal chain demo. So it's just him kind of showing off what it looks like to have your microphone plugged into your audio interface, plugged into maybe your speakers if you use those. I use headphones. Some people use both. But yeah, that is your signal chain. Next, your physical recording environment. Studio module introduction. Basic acoustic principles. So make sure that you have some sort of padding so that there's not just tons of vibrations going on, how to deal with sound waves, that sort of thing. Ergonomics, what his studio looks like, and then these two sample types of booths, the tri-booth and the Harlan Hogan porta-booth. Those are ones that are like kind of the easy, I don't have to build my own booth. I want to set it up with this special, usually like PVC pipe and moving blankets. But honestly, if you have like a walk-in closet, that can be really good. You just need padding and a quiet place. You usually want to have a sound floor of about negative 60 decibels. That's the best. But if you have good recording software, that can make up for it. All right, how to find paid work fast. This is one of those like big, fancy titles so that you want to buy the class. I'm going to break it down just a little bit more. He's not wrong. You can find paid work fast using these different methods. If you're good. If you're not a good actor, and specifically not a good voice actor, you may not find paid work fast this way. So, we have be your own work engine. You have to be your own taskmaster sort of thing. Casting websites like voices.com, Voice123, Backstage, all good places. Well, depending on your opinion of doing pay-to-plays. Your own website, your online business card. I've gotten a few jobs where people found me through my website, whether that's through search engine optimization and they Google it, or I gave them my physical business card, which has a link to my website. People like to know about you, and having a website is good. He also goes through direct marketing, which can be big and scary. I know there's master classes specifically dedicated to direct marketing. This is about how to email and get in contact with advertisement agencies or marketing firms, that sort of thing, which can be big and scary and sometimes feels like you're just annoying somebody. Like, can you give me work? He kind of goes through the process a little bit more here. Getting work on social media. As of recording, it is 2025. You can start this job through just being on social media. it helps. It really does. If you're being active on social media and you're producing stuff or you're talking a whole lot, that can catch people's eyes, get them interested. I once got advice from prominent voice actor Jun Yoon about make a social media page and create something you're passionate about. I think Jun has done a great job on social media and its usage. He's an advocate for voice actors in like Asia or who have Asian accents, and using social media and their niche and capture attention that way. There's a book about voiceover in video games where the author is a casting director, and she talks about how if she's looking for a specific niche voice, maybe she's looking for a baritone Nigerian accent, she can put that into Instagram, type that in, and she'll find videos of voice actors who are baritone in voice and have Nigerian accents. So use your hashtags and that sort of thing in a smart way. That's what getting work on social media is like, but I don't know, if you are interested in Joe's point of view specifically and his experience, you got it right there. And why you shouldn't be on Fiverr. Joe Zieja has been very vocal that he is not a fan of Fiverr. He has said that your voice is worth more than $5, and it is, but in my experience, when I was on Fiverr, I got one of my first jobs on there, and I got paid 10 cents per word. It was very big for me at the time. And it still could be. It was for an e-learning job, and I didn't get paid $5 per video. I got paid 10 cents per word, which, with how long those scripts were, I was getting like $100 per video I was doing. And that was big for me. So is Fiverr something you should avoid entirely? Not in my opinion. Not if you're doing it right. All right, moving on to demos. A huge part, and I think a big barrier for a lot of people for getting into voice acting. He has his intro to demos, what your demo should contain and how it should be formatted, getting a professional demo reel done, and a demonstration on how to make your own demo. I made my own demo back in the day. It was not good. Then I got a professional one done. It was a bit better, but demos are something that you are constantly kind of fighting with. You're always going to be making new ones as your voice changes, as you get more skilled. And so Joe can kind of take you through that experience for him and what he thinks is important, but there's lots of advice and thoughts out there about creating demo reels. So this can be helpful, but also make sure you're looking in other places, because demos are used oftentimes to get an agent. To get into the agencies I have now, I had to show them my demos. So he has his introduction to agents, what an agent is versus a manager, how and when to get an agent, the most important thing about an agent, which agents are great, but they're not going to get you all your work. At least not one single one. And what to do once you get an agent. So yeah, I am in 2 different agencies, and I really like them. They give me more quality work. Like, I know if I'm getting a job through my agent, it's going to be for something that's really at a professional level. Sometimes when you go on those pay-to-play websites, you get spelling errors and you get people who don't know what they're talking about, and they're asking for, oh, can you give this to me in an excited conversational way? And it's like, you're fighting with yourself. I have found that what I get from my agents is of a higher quality, and it's really kind of helpful. So Joe has some opinions and some experience with agencies. All right, moving on to the awesome audition. A step-by-step of what you should be looking at so that you have the best audition possible. Step 1, understanding the source. Step 2, understand the job. 3, understand conflicts. 4, understand the specs. 5, understand the script. 5B, choose your audience. It's a part of understanding the script. 6, prep for recording. 7, slate. 8, read words good. That's all voice acting is. 9, editing. 10, mixing and sending. And 11, let it go. So I think all of these are kind of, you understand what each one means, but with each one of these steps, Joe will go into more detail. What mechanisms can you do to understand the script and the specs better? What it means to choose your audience. Who might your potential audiences be? Some advice on editing, that sort of thing. And then, step 11, the old adage, submit and forget. I've had some crazy auditions where I'm like, I know exactly what this is for. I would love to get this. And they don't come true. You can't hold on to them. You just have to throw it into the ether, acting like you don't care, and let it go. All right. The next section is the spectacular session. So you got the job. Now what? Confirm the details. Schedule and choose a connection method. Prep, connect, direct, perfect, collect, and maintain the relationship. And here, what to do when you're undirected, if you're doing this from home and no one is directing you. Again, I think these all speak for themselves. You want to make sure you have everything right, so that, you're like, oh, hey, I am correct in saying that you will pay me for a minimum of 2 hours, right? And make sure you get all the stuff right. Then you have to schedule, and if you're doing, again, things from home, choose a connection method. So whether that be Zoom, Microsoft Teams, RIP Skype, and then how to prepare and all of that. He'll go into, again, more detail on each one of these steps so that you can get the best session possible. All right, now advanced audition techniques. Introduction to advanced audition techniques. He has some advanced microphone techniques, different ways that you can utilize the microphone, making strong choices because they're already not hiring you, so you might as well make strong, unique individual choices. The naturalizers, messing with the specs, whether you should be doing that or not, how you might do that, how to assign context, what it means for the conversational read. You hear that a lot in voice acting. Oh, I want it to be more conversational. Well, do you? Because even how I'm speaking now in this video is different how I speak to my friend. So what does it mean for there to be a conversational read? And then advanced audition techniques demonstration. The next section is SAG-AFTRA, the union. Now, I'm not personally a part of SAG-AFTRA. I know a few people who are, but including Joe. So this is what he has to say about the union, what it is, when and how to join the union. FICOR, which is a specific subgroup of people who are a part of the union but are allowed to work non-union jobs, and right-to-work states, where, again, you're allowed to work even if you are a part of the union. You can still work non-union jobs, and converting work. Next section, one of the two. Vocal health. The cardinal rule. I'm going to break it down here because I've seen this advice elsewhere, and I just think it's important to say the cardinal rule of vocal health is never do a voice in your audition that you couldn't maintain for 4 hours. You don't want to be doing a voice like this if you can't do it for 4 hours. I'd kill you. Because oftentimes that's how long a session will be. A 4-hour-long session is pretty standard for voice acting. Next section here is how to breathe. Really, when I was real young in grade school when I was doing choir, my teacher would talk about your crystal goblet, your cup. And so you can't lean over, otherwise you'll spill your crystal goblet out of your stomach. It was a weird metaphor. She was talking about your diaphragm. So how to breathe, knowing how to breathe using your diaphragm is important. Make sure that you're breathing in through your stomach and not your shoulders, and Joe will talk about that. There's also strophonation, which this is something that I got from another one of my teachers. She talked about using like little stirring straws that you get for coffee and breathing through those as a form of vocal exercise. Shutting up and other vocal remedies. Yeah, if you talk for a really long time, the best way to help with it is to stop talking. Give yourself some vocal rest. And then there's other stuff people talk about, like throat coat tea and that sort of thing. Honey can be helpful. And being your own advocate. If you are in the studio and they're like, hey, today we're going to start off with some death screams. You're on fire. Go. You got to advocate for yourself. You can't do that. That can't be the first thing of the day. You can't do that and then have another 3.5 hours afterwards. You got to advocate for yourself a little bit. Do what is best for your own vocal health, because your voice is your moneymaker. You got to take care of it. Speaking of which, the Money Matters module. Money mentality. Like back in the mentality section, voice acting is a job. You know, you want to get money out of this. He has a section on voiceover rates, a demonstration of the global voice acting. I don't remember what that last A is for. The GVAA rate guide versus the SAG-AFTRA rate guide. I know that there's the voice acting club or community, which has like its indie rate guide. Lots of places that you can look to get an idea of what your voice is worth. Pickups and edits. These are, you submit and then your client is like, oh, hey, for one reason or another, I need you to re-record something. Really what it is if it was your mistake, they don't pay for it. If it was their mistake, they changed the script or something like that, then they will pay you to do a pickup or an edit. Usually those are already kind of worked into whatever agreement that you have with your client. They might get 2 different sessions of pickups for free, something like that. But yeah, this is a whole section on how to negotiate that and how to negotiate in general over here in negotiations. It happens sometimes where you're like, oh, hey, you know, I think this is worth $500. Then they're like, well, I only have $350. You got to negotiate. We're kind of in like a freelancing mindset here, where you have to advocate for yourself, your own value, but they're kind of doing the same thing. Red flags. Boy, howdy. Sometimes you will just get an email and it will say something along the lines of, hello, can I have you do voice acting job? It will pay good. Or sometimes they're even sneakier than that. These red flags in job offers in voice acting are getting better and better. Unfortunately, it can be hard to catch them. I've had, like, my most recent red flag that I had was somebody, instead of printing a check and sending it to me, they sent me a picture of a check and wanted me to cash it that way. Except for it wasn't just like a picture they took with their phone and then I was supposed to take that to the bank. It was like a PDF file. And I was like, that's suspicious. So I went to the bank and I showed the picture to a bank teller. And they were like, oh, yeah, no, if you printed this out and trimmed the edges and tried to submit it like an actual check, that would be illegal. And we would disconnect your account and that sort of thing. So, there was so much that looked right. They signed an AI writer to agree that they wouldn't use my voice for AI. Like, we negotiated the price, all of this stuff. And then it wasn't until they're like, okay, here is what you're owed, where really the jig was up for them. And what their plan there is I would submit the check. They wanted me to record 5 videos for them, or do 5 different sessions. I did 2, but then they sent me this check image. What they would probably say is the other 3 would have been canceled, and so they need $300 back or whatever if I was doing $100 per video. And so they'd say, oh, give us the $300 back. So I would give them $300 before that check cleared, and then I would have been out that $300. They'd bounce the check, and I'd get screwed. So you got to watch out for those red flags. They can be really dangerous. Dealing with bad clients. I've had my fair share of experiences with bad clients. I did a series of YouTube shorts, and my client was rough. Like, he was very insistent on, I had to get so much work done each day, and really pushed me on that. And I couldn't even get weekends. He'd be like, hey, where's the recordings? Where's the recordings? Where's the recordings? And then when I was supposed to get paid, originally it was once a month. Then 2 months went by and I didn't get anything. And so I was like, okay, dude, I'm not going to record anything for you anymore until I get paid again. And he would be like, no, please record it. Like, you're going to get your money. Don't worry about it. I've always gotten it to you. And after a while, I would get paid, but it was so after when I was supposed to get paid. You get bad clients. And so I think these red flags dealing with bad clients, these are some of the most important videos in the Academy. Because when I was dealing with that red flag situation, I actually came back to this video and watched it to get some advice on how to deal with that situation. All right, demonstration, keeping the books, whether you're using a bookkeeping app, I know there's some of those now, or you're using Microsoft Sheets. Joe has some advice on that. Do you need an LLC? I don't even know what that is. So, and I watched the video. I don't even remember. I watched it a while back. But yeah, do you need an LLC for your own business? Making sure you're paying yourself first. So don't invest all of your money right into all of your equipment. Make sure that the money that you're making from voice acting takes care of you and then takes care of your equipment and that sort of thing. Don't bankrupt yourself going after a dream job like this. Residuals, not very common in voice acting, but maybe you have a situation where you do voiceover for a big movie and then you get residuals for that, and that whole situation. Again, not very common, but we can dream. Social media, something I'm not amazing at, but I would say that Joe, very active on social media from what I can tell. He has the social media philosophy. How important is social media for voice actors? Like I mentioned earlier, it can be hugely important. How to handle online privacy. I know there are some people who don't like to show pictures of their face. It's kind of one of the benefits of voice acting. You don't have to do that. I'm okay with showing my face personally, but also you can get somebody to make a cartoon picture of your face, like my brother-in-law did for me, which I should have as my image right now, but maybe I don't anymore. I don't know. But yeah, online privacy. Staying above the noise and producing, not consuming. If you're on social media and you're trying to be a voice actor, maybe don't spend all your time just scrolling through Instagram. Make sure you're actually making stuff for whatever social media sites you're on. a look at the platforms and producing content on them. What you do on Instagram is going to be different from what you do on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, wherever else you're at. They each kind of have their own unique niche. I'm sure as heck not doing much on Snapchat anymore. I don't know if anybody is, but what you do on there would be different than what you're doing on Instagram. They each have their own unique sort of strategy. And so Joe will take you through that here. Stop focusing on numbers. You can't go crazy over each individual post, otherwise you will go crazy. Why did this post get 100 more likes than this other post? Who knows? The world of social media can be crazy. Maybe, focus on the trends, what's popular, do your best, but don't micromanage it and make it a whole part of your life. You still have to do voice acting and some tools for management that you can use to manage your different social media accounts. All right, moving on to creating compelling characters. Part 1, voice variables. You'll see these in music, in your ordinary acting classes. You have your, I think it's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, different variables. You have your pitch, your placement, your air, your texture, and your precision. I think they all kind of speak for themselves, but that is how you manipulate your voice in different ways to create a compelling character. You can also do accents. That's a part of it. You can put on an accent if you want You can put on an accent if you want to, or you can not. It does not really matter unless it makes sense for the situation. All right, now that cringy part is over. Perspective is another part of what makes a compelling character. Your age. Are you young or are you old? Are you more intelligent and smart over being more wise with wisdom? This is your wizard in Dungeons and Dragons versus your cleric. The intelligence and wisdom are your different attributes in that. Competence versus ineptitude. Emotional intelligence versus being narcissistic. Confident versus shy, and humorous versus seriousness. Then also examining the environment, the character, the plot, making sure that if you are a villain, you're not a villain to yourself, because no one is the villain in their own story. Also, relationships. Then applying. You come up with your character voice. So now, how do you get in practice for it? How do you go about doing maybe voice matches, impressions, and other ways to steal? Trying to do voice matching is a great way to just explore your vocal range. You can take a listen to someone like Christopher Walken, because everybody has a Christopher Walken, but nobody sounds like Christopher Walken. Even if you have a real good Walken impression, you don't sound like him. So it's kind of a good way to try to mimic so that you can find new voice types for yourself. But then also he has some advice in here about how to do a quality impression. Also, mastering consistency. It's tough. If you're doing audiobooks, you're doing a whole book series and you got like 50 hours of recording, the character in book 1 might have to sound the same in book 6. I feel bad for anybody who has had to record. I'm very impressed by, I can't remember his name, but the man who does the narration for the Witcher series. He holds the same voice through all of the different Witcher books. It's crazy to me. And it's a tough thing to do. So mastering consistency is important, and physicality. We may only hear our voice, but if you ever see like a Disney behind the scenes of what Robin Williams or Jack Black looks like when they're doing their voiceover, those dudes are moving. They're getting their exercise in. So there is physicality in voice acting, and that does affect your character. All right. getting close to the end here with workflow. So we have the principle of proportional attention. You got to split your attention up. You can't put all of your time, too much time into your marketing, because then you're not getting enough practice doing your voice acting, etc., etc. You have to have the correct amount of attention. The principle of exponential experience. If you look at a graph, experience is not a straight line. It's its own thing, and it usually works as an exponent. It might be kind of slow moving at first, but the more you work, the steeper that curve is going to be. And then it might also go down sometimes. It is what it is. The principle of deferred procedure. He uses big words here. What that means is you can't do more than one thing at once. Multitasking is not technically possible. I'm a type of person who wants to say that, I'm a great multitasker because I have ADHD and I like to listen while I'm also doing something. But you have to acknowledge that you can't always do that awesome. Make sure you are focusing on one task at a time so that you're putting your best quality into your work. These next few kind of mean the same thing. Delegation, automation, and killing your mouse. Do what you can to make your process as quick as possible with the least amount of input from you so that you can speed up your process. Next part, the ice cold read, which is how to approach, you get the new script in your hand. How do you approach that? That's your ice cold read, because sometimes, you don't get your scripts the day before even. In most recording sessions, you walk into the booth and they hand you the script there, and you have to make that sound good. So he has some advice on that, how to dominate your DAW, that is your recording software, and some workflow tools. Little bonus module here is just some interviews that he has, talking with Zieja, talking with J. Michael Collins, big name in voice acting, talking with Tim Friedlander, again, huge voice in voice acting, somebody that I've met, very amazing man, and talking with Celia Siegel. Bam! Course conclusion, congratulations, and kind of credits, books that are referenced, websites that are referenced, different coaches and classes and stuff that he talked about, all of that. Okay, so that is Joe Zieja's Voice Acting Academy. Is it worth it? Is it not? It's up to you. What does $350 mean to you? What does this content mean to you? Are these things worth it to you or not? I know whether it was worth it or not to me, but I see a lot of questions about this masterclass, so I wanted to throw it out there and see, so that people can see if it's worth it or not. Okay, thank you for sticking with me through this. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions about things I didn't cover, as long as I'm not, stealing from Joe and telling you exactly what he says about how to do voice matches, impressions, and other ways to steal, ironically, I don't want to take from him. That would just be wrong. But I will answer any questions people have about the course or my own experiences, that sort of thing. Just let me know in the comments. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful voice acting experience. Take care.